Hi, so we're here at the Outdoor Retailer Show, and I'm super lucky to be with our ambassadors, Mayan Smith-Gobat and Libby Sauter. How are you both?
Doing well, and I'm really psyched to be here as well.
Yeah, likewise. I'm excited to be here.
Did you run in? You've been doing a lot of running lately.
I've been doing a lot of running lately. Unfortunately, though, when you do a big run and you don't train for a big run, then it makes your knees really angry. And so I'm definitely not doing a lot of running at the moment.
That's where you need to do more of the skateboarding.
The whole bending thing kind of hurts. Even just sitting on the airplane, I was having to stand up like an old person, just like.
When was your most recent?
What was it? 2 weeks ago, we did a rim to rim to rim in Zion. Oops.
That was after the Donner Summit one, and 24 hours of Horseshoe Hell.
Yeah, that one was fun though. 24-hour Horseshoe Hell was like the most fun climbing for 24 hours I've ever had. It was like not like when you and I go in Yosemite and you go for 24 hours, and after what is Alex Honnold's fun cutoff is like hour 16. But like for the 2-4 Hell, you're just hanging out. You need supplies. You're hungry. You just like go back to the van and get something. You chill, take a nap. Yeah.
Well, and actually now speaking of like Yosemite, you both have the record, so you don't have to do 24 hours on El Capitan anymore. You've got it down to under 5. Is it how far down is it? 4.5?
Yeah. Four. What is it?
432?
4:43.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking 4:39, but it was 5:39. But
Yep, and then 4:43.
Whatever. It's faster than we did it the last time.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I said 4:30 something, so maybe that's coming. It's been said.
Let's say if we went back to it, I think we'd have to aim for under 4. Otherwise, it's not worth it. That's my personal
It would
opinion.
have to be. Yeah, I agreed.
Okay, you heard it here, under 4 women. But before that, you're off to Patagonia.
Yeah, I leave in a week. Super excited, and yeah, it's been busy.
I'm excited for you. I'm excited to watch. So what are you taking with? Like, how do you prepare for the unknown?
We've got a ridiculous amount of stuff. A lot of rope, a couple of portaledges, racks, a huge amount of food, cliff bars, huge amount of stuff from Black Diamond, and then high-end but very little clothing from Adidas. Like I've gone really top of the range, but I've really got one of everything, and not really any changes of clothes. Like going lightweight, but yeah.
Your partners are going to love you. You better hope for high winds.
I think we're all in the same boat. It's 3 days hike to get in there, so we're really going for what we need, but nothing more than that.
Now, Alex said when he hikes into Patagonia, he has a large pizza in the back of his pack. Are you doing that?
Depends whether we can find pizza in Puerto Natales.
Yeah, he started in El Chaltán, and he starts with the pizza and works his way down to nuts and berries and leaves and grass and whatever's left over.
Gosh, for food's always my struggle. I'm not a very good eater, so I'm eating a lot of nut butters. Work for a company called Trail Butter. Makes this amazing tri-nut spread that you can put with bananas or just eat pure. It comes in little packets. So that's like on my big runs. Can't eat bars. I can't eat bars when I'm running. I just feel like I'm going to throw, or climbing really. Mine just doesn't eat when we climb, or drink.
I've been trying to run. Fueling is my problem. I get you.
I would switch between baby food packets you can get them with like little bits of quinoa or kale or stuff, so you feel like you're giving yourself real food, and then with the nut butter stuff, and it's all liquid, so you can just run and eat and try and have fun.
Oh, it's all fun, even when I'm suffering and saying, okay, I've invented another way that this doesn't work.
The one that works for me the best especially when you're parched and like can't really stop, is the Cliff Bar shots. Because you can kind of still get them down, like unlike the goos where your whole mouth just goes like bleh. The shots, you can kind of just suck on them and chew on them slowly, and like I find they work when you can't get anything else down.
Now, with all of your nursing, when you go into the backcountry and you go on big walls, do you take IV bags with you?
We talked about it because we were a very medically intense team. It's just not worth it, because if you're so sick that you need IVs, that you need fluid like that, there's not enough that we're going to be able to do for you out there if you're like doing what Mayan's doing and hiking in on your own. That it's not worth it for the weight. Just don't get that sick.
I mean, we've got a reasonably comprehensive first aid kit, but I don't think we've got IVs either. Definitely got some strong drugs, though.
I just thought it was maybe a better solution. Like I remember being super parched up on Half Dome and just wishing to God I could just plug myself in and then keep going.
Yeah, but you don't have to carry that up there, do you? And it has to be sterile, and you got to be clean, and it's really...
This was 25 years ago. We took a 100-pound haul bag. We did it as wrong as you possibly could.
Did you hike up the John Muir Trail, like up the...
Oh yeah, we went the whole way. My knees hurt for 2 months after that ascent. The free rider in Half Dome, are you going to try it again with the new route?
It is something that I would love to do at some point. I don't really know what the status is of the new route. Like, has it even been freed?
No, I mean, it definitely hasn't been freed. There's a bolt ladder. And apparently some folks thought that there were some microchips that might go, but it sounds like the free link up is now going to be quite an even bigger challenge, if you can imagine that, than it already was.
Yeah. Well, it's very cool. Like, Humble Pie is in the festival this year. And it's an incredible feat just to go for it. It goes beyond what any of us can think of. But it's also really cool that you showed when the struggle was there and it didn't happen, because that's something that I think in elite athletics we don't often see, is all the times of building towards the success.
Which is most of the time. Because the nose took me 5 years of trying. Like, it's mostly failure, what we do.
Yeah, it totally is. Like, I would go with probably 99% failure for that 1% where you sometimes get through your objective. And I really like that film for that point. Like, it's honest. There's no... I feel like because of how the media is portrayed, you often just see the success. That it's almost like it's a little bit false. And it's really nice to see that the honesty in that film.
I think it's important. I mean, athletes at the end of the day are role models, which is huge, because even our school system, you're failed if you make a mistake. You're not rewarded at all for trying something, having it not work, trying again. But that's how life is. That's how business. That's how sports. That's everything. I mean, gosh knows relationships. Like, you've got a good one. How is that, being in a relationship with one of your climbing partners? Like, what's it like to be on a ledge for days at a time?
I've had great times on walls with partners before, like really good times. It can be stressful as well, though, for sure.
It's like nursing. It's all fun until it goes bad, and then hell breaks loose. So, tell me about the parallels between nursing and climbing.
I mean, sort of what you just highlighted there is that it's really fun, it's really rewarding until it all goes wrong. And just like in doing big objectives in rock climbing, it's life or death. And you can have some of your most rewarding days, and you can see children come back from, a cardiac defect that otherwise spelled certain death, and you watch them be perfectly happy and great after surgery. And, just like with climbing, you think everything's done, you're on the descent, and someone slips and falls and passes. Nursing's the same. Kids surprise you, and sometimes it's not fun. Sometimes really the opposite.
Well, I like the video that you posted where you described one of your recent kind of miracles that you pulled out from the ethers. It's on your page on the site, so check it out. But when you're in a lot of these foreign countries doing the nursing, which I would imagine is consuming, how do you balance training?
I go with the best of intentions. And it usually gets left at that. I'm a vegetarian, so traveling to places where it's basically chicken and rice or rice and chicken, which seems to be most of the world. I really struggle with food. I do bring a lot of my own stuff. I bring a lot of like quinoa and protein powders and things, so I can try and still get something other than carbs. I bring rock rings and a jump rope and running shoes and a yoga mat, and they pretty much just collect dust because I'm working 12 to 18 hours a day for every day for up to like 5 weeks. It just, you're just not, it's all I can do to get my like vodka cranberry down before I go to bed.
So then how much does the mental play into it when you get back and you jump back into training to achieve your next objective?
Yeah, I mean, like in Yosemite, every time you're gone from Yosemite and you come back, the walls just get bigger. I swear, it's like a nightmare. They just keep growing. The longer you've been away, the bigger they are. And so it's always kind of like a new challenge when you come back from having done literally nothing physical for 5 weeks. But you just do it. And I think that's mine and I's attitude towards a lot of things, is that we just decide we want to do something. And more than, at least for me, outright talent, it's more just determination and willingness to fail.
That's absolutely true. Like, there's sheer grit of just going, I want to do this, so I'm going to do this. And there's some talent behind it for both of us, for sure. Otherwise, we wouldn't get there at all. But I think 90% is just determination.
Well, and suffering, let's talk about that. I finally came to terms after all these years that I'm happiest when I'm suffering a little bit. And I was having that conversation with Tommy Caldwell, and he said that he's happiest when he's suffering a lot. So where do you fall in that?
I can't say, I don't know whether it's type 2 fun. It's the old type 2 fun. It's like, I don't think I enjoy it while I'm doing it. But life in general, I would not be happy with my life if there wasn't a good section of suffering in there. Like, I seem to seek it out. Like, my fingers are totally destroyed right now.
I was just looking at that. I was
like
gosh,
totally
you look
destroyed
like
from this route that I've been climbing. Like, the nails are almost gone because I've just been scraping my fingers against the rock that much.
Oh, wow.
The pain doesn't matter, right? Like, I love doing it. I want to do it. So I'm willing to ignore all of that, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something.
I mean, I think it's pretty similar for me in most aspects of my life, is that I don't really commit one way or the other. I love a good long push and going for it and suffering. And like the first time that I did the El Cap Half Dome Link Up, I didn't climb for 3 weeks afterwards. I thought I was so worked. But I also really like some good Type 1 fun too. So shades of gray. It's how I exist. Everything, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, nothing definitive.
I definitely think that, like, after being on a wall for a while, going sport climbing is just awesome because it's just fun. It's just fun. So, like, neither one, like Libby said, neither one on its own is great. But I actually do think my tolerance for suffering and also the amount that I like doing is reasonably high. Like, I notice it with crack climbing. When I take anyone else out crack climbing, they're just like, oh, my hands really hurt. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
I had a friend describe it as a bucket, in that you have, like, your suffer bucket. And when you do a big event, you have a big trip or big something, like your bucket is emptied, and it only refills with a drip. And so, like, sport climbing, like fun trips to Thailand, like what Sasha's doing right now, like those are the drips that you refill your suffer bucket with. And then you go to Patagonia for 3 weeks, and your bucket just goes, and then you have to turn it upright. And, like, at least for me, I think that's a pretty accurate description.
Very true, but I think some people's buckets is bigger. And
some people's, I think they refill
smaller.
Faster.
Or that way around, yeah.
And I think for me, like, the flow varies. Sometimes I'm like, I got some good back-to-backs, and then sometimes I don't even want to rock climb. I haven't rock climbed since the Salafay, really. Done one day bouldering in the gym since September.
Wow. Well, what about getting ready for Patagonia? What have you been doing the most of?
I've actually just been trying to get my shoulder really strong. So I've been doing a lot of power. My cardio was pretty good from summer. I've just been hiking a lot, so I actually didn't do much of that. I'll be fine with that. Endurance for me comes really easily, so I never really worry about endurance. Because I'm coming back, like, it's exactly a year after shoulder surgery now, my main concern was getting my shoulder really strong. Okay. So I was doing a lot of campusing, a lot of power work, general body fitness, like a lot of core and tension work as well, and just climbing a ton. But yeah.
And what's a lot of hiking to you? Because the gym climbers in LA cry when there's a 5-minute hike to the crag.
Well, I spent summer up in Redstone for a while, and that was half an hour hike up, like almost climbing. Not quite climbing, but I mean, some of it's via Ferrata, and we were carrying heavy bags, we were bolting stuff up there, so there was a lot of carrying of wood.
And there were rappel lines coming down the trail, right?
Not quite. We actually hiked back down, so the knees got a good workout as well.
I think that's where all the older climbers are getting into paragliding and hang gliding and base jumping so that they don't have to hike back down.
And then aside from that, like when I was at home for a little while, I went for some good runs, and they were usually intended to be about 5 miles, and I often went about 10 to 13 just because I was having too much fun. And then in the last while, I've been doing very little hiking at all, to be honest. Like, it's about 5 minutes to the crag, so...
What about you? What's upcoming for you, and how are you training for it?
For me, food is always my biggest struggle. I think, like, Mayan lived with me when she was projecting to free the Salafay when I was on the rescue team in Yosemite. And so she, like, her monkey rent, we call it. It's like when you stay with someone that lives on the rescue site, you have to pay monkey rent. It's either, like, filling up water, taking out trash. Mayan cooked dinner, like, 4 nights a week. And then that meant that we had, like, leftovers for breakfast, like, 4. So that meant that I had... having that consistent, like, good, fresh food, for me is probably the most helpful thing I can do, because I really struggle to have sufficient calories and good calories. I'm good at eating candy and popcorn.
When I called out of the blue and told you about what we were doing with the festival, what made you say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea?
I think it's a really cool concept. I like the idea of having film festival films available like to a much broader audience and having them available for a longer period of time, like these films that generally you might get one chance to see them at some festival that is probably too expensive for most people to go to anyway. I think it's really cool. I'm psyched to be a part of it. Yeah.
And I think I bet a lot of people are like myself in that they're motivated by the media when they were younger, when they were coming up. You know, my first bit of climbing media that I remember was like my girlfriend was, when I was 13, a part of youth teams. She had the climbing magazines and she had all of them in a rack. You know, I remember like getting those or reading about Tommy and Beth in the newspaper doing different things, and to be able to be a part of the media that can help promote and maybe get more kids into active activities, get them outside, I think that's pretty exciting.
Awesome. Well,
Inspiration for anyone, really. Like, if it's anything that helps get others inspired.
awesome. That's my goal. Is I hope that these films inspire people to have their own adventures, not just be armchair athletes, which I think is unique. But thank you for being a part of it, because you're both role models to everybody involved, and hopefully people try to go just a little bit bigger because of what they see you do.
Thanks. And thanks for taking us on to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.